What's up guys, my name is Matt and today I'm going to be showing you guys all of the recent upgrades I've made to my personal PC, which is sitting right behind me. This is going to be sort of part of vlog style video and also me talking and showing you guys B-roll, so let's get right to it. Alright guys, so I've got a couple of parts in. I've got the motherboard right here, as well as the CPU, which is in that box. We'll talk about it in a minute. And actually what's kind of weird is I bought this motherboard. It's an Asus X99-A, but the thing that sucks is the guy shipped it without a socket cover. And there's actually a couple of kind of suspicious pins in there. You might be able to see it once I take it out, but we're going to test if it boots, and we're just going to be taking apart this sort of test system and this Inwin 303, and I'm going to put it in there for now. I don't know if this will end up being my main case. It's kind of big and bulky, but I do like it a lot, and it's got a full tempered glass side panel. Also for drive is going to be this OCZ RD400, and so that's going to be 512 gigabytes of PCIe storage with up to like 1.5 gigabytes of transfer speed, which is absolutely crazy. I don't know if I'm going to use that as my boot drive or a scratch disk or what now, but we'll figure that out as we go along. This is definitely kind of it doesn't really have much of a structure, this video in this series. I'm just going to be upgrading this PC as we go along, and eventually it will be my dream gaming and editing PC. So now let's talk about the CPU for a minute. The CPU in this system is actually a 12-core Xeon. It's a Haswell E5 V3 Xeon that I got off of eBay for a really good deal. Now, it is 12 cores, 24 threads, but it's locked at 2.3 gigahertz, and it actually has turbo boost disabled, which is why I got it for so cheap. Now, even though it is locked at 2.3 gigahertz, it actually has the multi-threaded performance of a slightly overclocked 5960X at about a fifth of the price, so that should be a pretty indication that this was a very good deal. Now, because the X99 CPUs are so big, I did have to use a fair amount of extra thermal paste, and I also pre-spread it just so that I knew it had an even distribution. So I started off by cooling this with a Hyper 212 Evo as sort of a temporary solution until I got what I will show you in a minute. And this actually worked really well. It wasn't loud at all, and it provided plenty of thermal dissipation for this processor. In terms of RAM, I had a 16 gigabyte kit of PNY Anarchy. It was DDR4 RAM that I actually got for a pretty good deal from Best Buy. I did in-store pickup, and I believe it was around 55 bucks, which is a really good deal for 16 gigabytes of DDR4. In terms of GPU, I started out with a GTX 950. Now, this is actually decently good for the games that I play, but I have upgraded it, and I probably will upgrade it again, which I'll talk about in a minute. So I started the system up, booted it up, and it actually worked fine, but only for a few hours, and then it started giving me problems and crashed and just wouldn't start up even after resetting the CMOS and doing a bunch of stuff. So I contacted the seller and told him that the motherboard he sent me was damaged, it wasn't working, and I was able to get my money back, which was really good, and that allowed me to get an EVGA X99 Micro 2 motherboard, which I got brand new from jet.com for a really good deal. It was under $150, which for an X99 motherboard is an amazing deal, and from a reputable brand like EVGA, that's an even better deal. And also the fact that this was an M-ATX motherboard allowed me to use the Corsair 350D case I had been using before, which is a case I really like. I think it looks really good, and it's relatively compact and easier to lug around than the Inwin 303 by a long shot. And changing the motherboard actually made this system work perfectly fine. Everything was running smoothly, and really the system was all put together at this point. I just had to upgrade a couple more things, including the cooling and the GPU, to get it to the point that it's at right now. So for the cooling, I actually upgraded to liquid cooling. Arctic Cooling sent over their 240mm all-in-one liquid cooler, the freeze cooler, and I've been testing it on this system, and you're probably wondering, why would you use a liquid cooler on a Xeon CPU? And there are a couple of reasons. The first is because it has so much cooling potential, it doesn't have to work very hard, so it's going to be very, very quiet. And secondly, even though Xeon CPUs technically can't be overclocked, you can overclock them by messing with the base clock, which I may do in a future video to see if I can squeeze even more performance out of this system, and that cooler will definitely help me if I want to do that. And finally, I upgraded the GPU to a GTX 1060 3GB. Now, I was debating to get GTX 1060 or 1070. I actually found an amazing deal on the 1060 3GB. I know that it's cut down from the 6GB one, and the lower VRAM may be detrimental in a lot of games, but I'm going to be testing that out in a future video. Now, I do think I will be upgrading to a 1070 anyway in the future, just so I can be able to play games at max settings, max resolution, 60 FPS on my ultra-wide monitor, but that will be a little bit down the line, and I think this GPU will do pretty good up until then. I don't know. I'm gonna have a full test video out in a few days to a week, so definitely stay tuned for that. So yeah, guys, this wraps this video up. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up, as well as consider subscribing for more PC and tech related content in the future. And as always, this is Matt from Tech by Matt, signing out.